Okay, time to get back into the 47 here. So, those out of the way. Okay, so we're going to do the rods right now. So I got the bearings here, the crank pin, and the rods. So, got grit on my bench too. Wonderful. So we got to get this stuff cleaned up a little bit. Wipe the grease off the crank pin so we can measure it. See how good it is. Okay, that's good. Let's see the wrist pin. It doesn't fit good. Evo pin, 1/10 big. Old pin, correct size. Very low clearance, perfect. This one's a little tighter. Doesn't quite slide like it's supposed to. Wear the high spots in. It's a little tight. It'll work, but it's a little snug. A couple tenths tighter than I like it to be. It'll work though. Just want to hone it. Yeah. Toss up. Okay, so this is a fairly rough grind on this. Kind of like S&S used to do it, rough. Okay, so the dimensions we got. Let's see, I need my mics. Been used for a while, so you got to clean them off. Okay, let's see what we got. 1 1/4. About 9/10 down. Two tenths there. 9/10 there. So this is the high spot. 2/10 out right here. So it's 2/10 down. So it's 1/10 in accuracy. It's only bad in that one spot. Middle's good. Yeah, everything else is pretty much 1/10. So it's 9/10 under. Except for that one spot where it's 8/10 under. Okay. So that means if you grind the rods on size, you have 8/10 clearance and 9/10 clearance. If everything else is equal. The problem is the rollers are usually not equal. They're not ground on size. They're supposed to be 3/16 and they're usually not. They're usually 2/10 under for whatever reason. And we are consistently 3/10 under, 2/10, 2.5 tenths, about 2.5 tenths under there. What's this one? This one's at 2.5, yeah. That's pretty much 2. 3/16 is 188.5, not 188.2. Or 2.5. This one's 2.5 again. Go up to the big one up here. 2.5. Three. Okay. Quickly turn it over, measure the bottoms. 2. 3 on that one, I guess. I'm not measuring every roller, but I'm just getting an idea where they're at, and they're pretty consistent. Between 2 and 3. So it's supposed to be 5/10, so there you go. So that means we're gonna have an extra 4/10 clearance in our numbers, what that means. So that means if the rods are on size standard, you take the 9 and 8, you add 3 to 4 to it. That's 11 to 13 tenths, which is bigger than 9 tenths, which is what it should be at right now. So that means we want the big end rod to be a couple tenths under, 2 to 3 tenths under size, to bring the tolerance back down to a 9 to 10. That makes sense to anybody? Okay, next thing we're going to do is check the rods for straightness, see if they're straight. So, that's done over here. I don't have a setup for doing that yet. Tools right here though. Haven't used it since I moved. Alright, so this is just basically going to check our rod alignment. Get that as close as we can over there. You still can't see anything, but kind of see. Alright, where's all my tools at? Let's see here. Yep. Okay, got another wrist pin to use. Dad's original one out of a panhead or knucklehead or something old. Maybe a shovel head, nothing newer than that. Probably panhead. Well, let's see, it's got to be something newer. It doesn't have the old clip in it. I mix it a shovel head. Okay, this I call a dog. Looks like a dog. So basically you have a V-block. Wrist pin sits on V-block. And then this sits up against the face of the plate, and if it's bent like that, or like that, or like this, or like this, that's how the rod's bent. If they're all three surfaces are flat, then the rod's straight. That's how that works. This is expanding mandrel down here that tightens the rod up to center it. And of course all this stuff is supposed to be straight and true and all that. It actually is pretty close because it repeats pretty closely. I did have to make new tighter tapers to make it do that because the way they made it wasn't very good. Okay, I always center it up a little bit first, tighten it. Okay. Dad's pin, not my pin. This one doesn't want to go in. Slightly bigger than my pin. This one was a little tight, remember? Now this pin won't go in it. Not very easily. I kind of went and it stopped. Now it's stuck. That didn't help us any. So we'll get my pin now. Knock it out with it. Okay, Dad's pin's too tight. I could use my pin. Need to hold that rod out to make it looser. Nothing works when things are tight. This appears to be a little loose on the table too. That will have to be bolted down before I can straighten anything. Okay, so now this goes on here like this. And we look to see if we got any errors in here. Oh. Low bridge. Rod's bent with a shocker. I'm shocked. So you put your doggy on there and you can see the light. See the light right through there. It's also light down on this one. It's sitting on this corner over here. So I don't know if that picks up in the camera or not. Turn the light on, see if that helps or hurts. I'm not sure. I'm sure the focus is being screwed with by the camera, automatically trying to focus something you can't see. But anyway, there's a gap in there. So I'm not sure how much that really helps on the video, but rod's bent. So it's hitting on this corner here. Got a pretty good gap up here and a little bit of gap over here. So that means the rod needs to be bent up and then it needs to be twisted this way. And this is not being bolted down, so it's hard to hold on to it. Don't have my big frame table I had before that I bolted this down to. So, how are we going to do this? Got to figure out what we're going to do to hold it. Okay, I can probably put a couple clamps in right here, especially if I move that over here a little bit further. Get a couple clamps on that a little bit. It's not the same as holding it like I should though, but better than nothing, I guess. There's a couple clamps. Damn, that clamp hasn't been used for a while down that low. Okay. Yeah, it's tight. Clamping down here, you can't see me. Ways to go. Okay. Not super rigid, but it'll hold it for now, I guess. All right. Bending bar, homemade. Do it on my waist so I can work here. I want to bang into something. Okay, so we know it needs to be bent this way a little bit, and a little bit up too. The lock on that helps too. Always bend it back and forth a little bit to let us find where it wants to be at. Metal has a sweet spot where it wants to be at. It's called a memory. Helps to be useful. Okay, put the dog back up on here and see what we got. We are now hitting on the top, and still got a bigger gap on this side, barely got a gap on that side. So maybe it didn't go quite enough this way. And a little bit too much this up, so it'll go down just a little. It bends back quickly, so be careful on the reversal. Always recenter your clamp because it does affect it down there. And we are close. Wiggle, wiggle. Look center but too high again. So much the workbench is moving, it doesn't help you when you're trying to bend something when it moves all over the place. I'm going to have to bolt it onto a stronger bench than this. Oh, yeah, I didn't do squat. Put it that way. Turn 180, see what it does. If it doesn't repeat, there's no accuracy. If you turn 180, it should still be straight if it's straight, right? That's your test. And we are a little gap on the top. Side to side looks good. We're fighting about 5 thou right now, if even that much. Probably more like 3. So that looks pretty damn close. Get a slight gap on this corner, but couldn't be more than 1 thou or so. And that looks pretty damn close too. Couple thou on the top. We reset it. Looks like there's a hair gap on the top. Looks like a hair gap on the top. That's my chucking accuracy is not quite 100%, I'm guessing. Don't know if you can see the gap in there, but I think there's a slight gap in there. Put a feeler gauge in there, you would tell. It's pretty close. Way closer than it was, that's for damn sure. 180, back in. And I get the same gap on the top, I think. Or it's a reflection, it's hard to see. I don't know if you can see the gaps in there or not. Get the shadows just right, you might see it. Pretty close. Alright, straighter it was. So overall the quality of this rod is about what a stock Harley rod is. So they improved that quality a little bit. Or we lucked out. It's definitely not super high quality, but it's better than it used to be. So that's a good thing. By that being, it means I gotta pull things a little bit harder to make it work. Okay, let's try this Harley pin in here. This one still does not want to go in there. That one does. Okay, big gap on this side and a little bit on the top. A little bit that way, a little bit that way. They're kind of mushy, but they're not. There's some tension on them. So it's not like it's dead mush. And it sprung back, which is always good. I like spring back. Spring back is a good thing. So a little bit of spring back is good. That's kind of what a Harley rod does too. Oh, it moved that time. Yeah, you go a little extra, put a little more tension on it, it bends the hell out of it. Takes a certain amount of pressure to bend it. So now we're center to center, but we're high on type, so we gotta bend it down a little bit. Into the direction this bench doesn't work. A little bit on this corner again. Mom's coming. Yeah, I kicked it back too far. Nope. Don't hear the cane rattling out there. Okay, that's close. 180. Pretty good to me. Repeated. Once again, I gotta, not sure if you can see the gaps in there or not. There's pretty much no gaps I can see, so there you go. And that rod's like Harley too, so obviously the quality of these rods has improved. So at least they are getting better. Alright, so if you're doing a cheap flywheel, that means these are decent rods now. So they're no better than a Harley rod, that's for damn sure, but they're no worse either, it seems like at this point. But they are, these are 80-inch rods, they're heavy. 74-inch rods are all cut around here to lighter. So these are a little bit heavier for balancing purposes. Alright, there you go. I'm going to check our S&S ones next.